everyone, welcome to the very first edition of Getting to the Bottom Line, where my goal is to help put into perspective different things that impact your revenue, profit, and cash flow. And I'm your host, Stephanie Smith. I am owner of New Light Financial Solutions, and I am super excited to have with me today my friend Dee Bowden, the owner and author of Collect the Cash. Dee, I'm just so glad that you're here to talk with me today.
What's up, Stephanie? You already know how we do. Listen, listen. First of all, excited to be here. Excited to be the first guest on Get to the Bottom Line. I'm excited to have this conversation with you. Also, I'm glad that we are coming together to empower and explain why collected cash matters in business, and also tell the people some fun stories and let them get to know us and let them get to know why this matters for their business. So, congratulations on getting started. Let's go.
Thank you so much. It's been a journey, and thank you for being part of my journey up front.
Sure thing. My pleasure.
That said, Dee, tell everyone more about yourself and what you do, and what is Collect the Cash.
Well, Stephanie, so I guess you want to know what had happened was how did I get here?
Yes. How did you get here,
How
Dee?
did I get here? So about 18 years ago, I used to work for a small IT company outside of Boston, where I'm originally from. Stephanie, you've worked in corporate, you know how it is. You get hired and they go, welcome aboard. Here's your cubicle, here's your box, and here's your plant. Well, in my case, it was welcome aboard. Here's an aging, which is basically a list of accounts that has $8 million in outstanding invoices. I'm like, y'all have how much? They're like, yeah, $8 million. I'm like, y'all, really? This is what y'all do? So this is how y'all run this stuff. They're like, yeah, we got $8 million and we have a collections team. And your resume says you know how to collect cash, so we need you to help us get this money. So I go sit down in my cubicle and I look at this list of accounts and I'm like, y'all really have $8 million in outstanding invoices. Here's the backstory. You got to understand they're a small IT company. They've got contracts with government agencies, healthcare industries, all things. And I'm like, so you sold them all these services and you can't get paid? Nope. Okay, got it. So I sit down. I'm a person of faith, so I had a short conversation with God, and then I got my clues. And so I believe collected cash is four things: it's problem solving, customer service, gratitude, and relationship building. So problem solving, I got to solve the problem of $8 million. I get on the phone, hi. So my first couple of calls, I make a call to one vendor and I ask them, how come you all haven't paid us? And they said, oh, we changed our billing system. That'd be like going from like say Microsoft Excel to QuickBooks or another billing system. So I said, so you're telling me that the 2 million of the $8 million can be collected if we just reformat the invoices into the new billing system? Yep. When did you let everybody know? Oh, we sent out a mass email to all our vendors. And I said, well, evidently either A, we didn't get it, or B, it went into spam. So can you do me a favor, please, and resubmit? Can you resend me this email? So Stephanie, I take the email and go show my comptroller. I said, hi, of the $8 million you want me to collect, I can collect $2 million today if we can just reformat these invoices and resubmit them. She was like, are you serious? I'm like, here's an email. So in 60 days, I collect $6 million, and then the unthinkable happens. If you ever worked in sales, salespeople usually get commissions for landing contracts, other things, and collections or AR, we get a bonus. So I'm thinking, me and my team, we about to get a bonus because I didn't collect the 6 million, and my team has collected a whole bunch of other money. So we're going downstairs, and the CEO says, listen, thank you so very much for everything you've done across all the departments. So that's IT, sales, finance, us, AR, and AP. Thank you very much. Appreciate what you've done. We've made an executive decision. We're closing the company today and letting 100 people go 2 months before Christmas.
What?
True story. Now, to you, Stephanie, and your listening audience, I am sure all y'all that have lived long enough past, say, age 25, you've had something in life that's jarred you, something that's made you go, and then filling the dots afterwards. And this was one of my, are you serious? This is really happening to us. So I leave with my little box with my stuff, and I'm like, I just collected $6 million. This company just closed. I'm out of a job. I gotta figure out life. So after I get myself back up, this is years ago, but here's the thing. This was the catalyst for how come I created Collected Cash, because this was a small business. We're talking less than 100 people. We lost our jobs. What I saw fast forward to COVID was my story on fleek. So I'm watching, for example, I love Broadway. So when Broadway shut down, Broadway has theater houses. All the theater houses are businesses that have contracts with vendors. So all those shows that they were planning to run never ran, which means all those sales never took place. all that merchandise never got sold. There was no cash flow, and maybe people were stuck. So I'm watching this, and then I finally decided, thanks to my book coach, to tell this story. And she was like, "D, you have a system, and you want small business owners to win." So we played double dutch. She won, and that's how Collect the Cash got started. But I told her that story, and I talked about my systems, and she was like, "Well, if you can teach small business owners how to win with tracking their payments and setting up systems, maybe we can help them do better with managing their cash flow, and hopefully a bunch of them won't go out of business." And so that's how I got here. That's how I got here.
That is such a crazy story. I can't believe you collected
6 million.
6 million and then they went out of business. Where's the $6 million? What happened to it, I wonder? I know you don't know the answer, but that's
No, I
just
don't, and
insane to
Stephanie, that's
me.
a great question, and that's part of when I tell that story. I usually add to it. I usually say I will never know what happened. Like, excuse me, what made that executive decision that even though I collected 6 million and my team, because I was like I said, I was part of a collections team, so I did my part. The rest of my buddies did their part. I'll never know with all the money we collected. How come the choice was close the company? How come we didn't have enough money to save the company, say through the end of the year or whatever? I'll never know that. But all I know is that we got told this and the company went, and it's one of those things that even though it was 18 years ago, it still affects me because when people start a business, especially a small business, their goal is, I jokingly say, usually they've had chicken wings or tequila and something, and they go, okay, we want to start a business, we want to make a difference, we want to do whatever, and we do that. But then all of us who start our business, we don't know all the things we need to know. Like, we don't know that we need to track our sales. We don't know that we need to have proper invoices. We don't know that we need to have a back office system in place. We don't know that we might get ghosted by a client. And then we don't know that, man, if this person doesn't pay me, like, I don't have any money to do stuff. And so it's that part of business that is not really talked about. And so I'm so glad that you and I come together to say, no, we're gonna, pull the curtain back and say, listen, this, as much as your sales matter, your money matters. And if you get like the heebie-jeebies about collecting cash, or it makes you uncomfortable, we got to get your mindset to say that, listen, I need to know that I say it this way: collect the cash. The sale is not complete until the money's in the bank, but you must collect it first, which means as confident as you were to ask for the sale, for the contract, for the business, you got to be just as confident to ask for the money and know that they go together. You don't have a sale unless you get paid. They go together. And if you're scared about it, then we got to talk about, like, why are you scared, and then give you some tools and tricks so you can go, I'm not scared, and you're going to collect your cash.
It's so important, Dee. And because the whole idea of like the sale's not final until the cash is in the bank. I can't tell you. It's happened to us multiple times where we'll send a contract where we're like, yes, we just got a new client, and then they ghost us. And you're just like, well, I guess we didn't really get a new client, right? Because we'll have send them that invoice and they never pay it. And then you didn't really make the sale, which isn't like the worst of things. I think it might be worse if you actually put your effort into doing something for someone and then they just don't pay you, which is, I feel like a lot of people do because it's really uncomfortable for whatever reason for us as human beings to go up to someone else and be like, you owe me money. They don't want to, rock the boat
Yep.
or
Yep.
tarnish the relationship. So, I mean, what advice do you have to give to someone who finds it really uncomfortable to have that conversation?
Great question, Stephanie. So number one, um, you have to take the emotion out of it. It's business. Your business requires sales, invoicing, payments. You got to have those three things. If somebody ghosts you, I say if somebody ghosts you, you got to know that number one, it isn't personal, it's business, but you got to figure out, why are they ghosting you? Why are they not paying you? And the goal is to get from the what had happened was to how do we win. Your win is you get paid. And if you're afraid to ask that question, then you got to take a step back and say, okay, why am I afraid to ask them to pay me? You weren't afraid to ask them to do business with you, right? Okay, right. Collect the cash. The sale is not complete until the money's in the bank. You have to change your mindset and understand that your sale is complete all the way through, from when you land them as a client or a customer, when you invoice them, when you bill them, and you get paid. If you don't get paid, then how do you take care of yourself? How do you take care of your customers? How do you take care of your things? And if it makes you nervous, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna do an early plug. You got to get my book because I give you scripts on what to do so you can do this with confidence. You don't have to be mean, you don't have to be nasty, you don't have to be aggressive. Because here's the thing, I think part of why people are afraid to do this, because when people hear the word collections, most people think, okay, the IRS for sure, a boot on their car, medical bills, credit card bills, etc. And there's somebody on the phone, hey, blah blah blah, you owe us, and you know they don't even ask you, you know, can you make a payment? You know, what's your story? They just go in, and unfortunately, it jars most of us. You're like, wait a minute, hold up, I gotta, you know, I'm startled, and then you're like. So then that part of the part, that excuse me, that part of the equation makes people uncomfortable. So there's that part. I teach business to business collections, which is my framework is problem solving. Your goal to figure out if a customer hasn't paid you is what had happened was why. Why didn't they pay you? You got to figure out why didn't they pay you. So you got to do what's called problem solving. Did you submit a proper invoice? Do they have? Are they waiting on a payment from another client? Then they can pay you. Um, did your invoice go to the wrong department? Did you not put all the information on? There's a problem with why they didn't pay you. You got to solve that problem. Customer service. All of us have had great customer service and have had horrible customer service. Your job with customer service is to follow up and ask them what do you need to do to make sure that they pay you. Gratitude is the thank them for helping you figure out how they can pay you. And then the relationship building is that you have them as a client or as a customer. You want to continue to do business with them unless they're just not a good fit. So if you take care of them on the front end, they have a good experience with you all the way through. They're going to do repeat business with you and they're going to refer you to others. So you have to shift this from I'm scared to ask them to no, I'm looking at this. I need to solve the problem and get from what had happened was to how do we win and collect the cash.
And I mean, I really like that you brought that up, Dee, that it's humanizing what you're doing, right? We're all human. Sometimes we just don't have the money in the bank and we can't make the payment. And if you don't just ask, like, hey, maybe you need to make a payment plan, maybe you need a few more days, like I think it makes a really big difference to just be human when it makes sense. Obviously, if people are running over you, you don't want to have them as a client, then that's a different story. But I think there's a lot of us that genuinely, especially with what's going on in the economy right now, like maybe we just need a little more time or a little help or maybe a payment plan or whatever it is. And it makes a big difference. And I love that you pointed out that if you provide really great customer service, it leads to more business. And so it's multifaceted when it comes to your bottom line, right? So not only would they might probably want to do more business with you, but they might refer you to like, hey, I had a really great experience with you, and this is what happened, and they'll tell other people, and it just does really well for you in general. So that's such a great perspective, Dee. Thanks for pointing that out.
Absolutely, Stephanie. And here's the thing. I also want to add back to this is that um, we live in a world, I jokingly say that we do a lot of things 144 characters. That's the text. Our two thumbs. We listen, you can ruin somebody's business with your text in 144 characters, or you can make it good. And why I talk about customer services so much is because I'm old school. I learned that, you know, customer service is really a part of everybody's experience, whether it's personal or business. We know we have, I think they do these things called reviews, and you see reviews constantly. If you see something that's got 2 stars, you're like, I'm not even about to touch this because that's like, wait a minute, they already had a bad experience, plus the customer service wasn't great, et cetera, et cetera. But if you weave customer service into your business, into how you do business, it makes a difference. And the other thing is this, you mentioned earlier about a payment plan. One of the things I talk about is this: some money is better than no money. Now,
Very true.
I believe in collecting the cash. Yes, I do. If you owe me $10,000, of course I want all my coins. Who doesn't? But if we talk and you said, excuse me, if you say I don't have it, but I ask you, okay, what can we do? Can you? We say, all right, D, I owe you this, but I don't have it. My first question is going to be, okay, first of all, thank you for letting me know. Number two, what can we do? Can we create a payment plan? What can you pay me today? And then we're gonna do an email, the documents. This is how much you owed me. This is how much you pay me, and this is what you're gonna pay me, you know, placed on a schedule. People don't understand that. Sometimes if you give somebody grace with their payments, that helps them because a lot of times if they don't have all the money, maybe they're waiting for a payment to come in from a larger client, so they don't have it. Number two, sometimes people just need a moment to say, okay, I need help. When I said I was going to pay you in full, I just knew I was going to have all the money, but I don't. But if you work with them to say, okay, let's do a payment plan, and you make a payment today, we make another payment in 2 weeks, and 2 weeks, and 2 weeks. Number one, you don't ruin the relationship. I think people forget that you do business with people, not your thumbs and not 144 characters. It's still a person. You still got to, and how you treat them with if they're in a if they're in a tough place matters, because they will usually remember, wow, you gave me grace when I was stuck, I couldn't make all my payments, but they'll usually come through and they'll catch up the payments and they'll pay you in full, and they'll remember that, because it's like, oh, everybody at some point needs grace, and everybody at some point needs to know, all right, now there are people, yes, are they going to take advantage of it and not pay you at all? Yes. That's called ghosting, and it's terrible, and we're not advocating that. What we're advocating is this: one, you have a contract or an agreement; two, you have a proper invoice; three, if they can't pay you in full, offer the payment plan, document it so that they know this is what we're paying today, we're paying the balance in 2 weeks, blah 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 blah. And you want to follow up and make sure they do that. Now, if unfortunately, if you do that and they still ghost you, it's a hard lesson in business and a hard lesson in life. But you'll just know in the future, I got to change how I do my billing so I get more money up front, or they pay me in full, or I do half up front and then half in 30 days. But the goal is not to get ghosted. The goal is to get paid. But if you can offer a payment plan, do so. But you got to be very diligent to make sure that they pay you, that money comes through, that you change it, that you plan for the next payment, the next payment, next payment, and then thank them for offering to make sure they don't ghost you, but they're actually trying to make sure they pay you in full.
I mean, that makes complete sense. And obviously the idea in business is to make money, right? Like you have to have money to stay in business. So it's so important that you make sales, especially for businesses that do send out invoices, and you do have to have some kind of receivables that while on paper your business can show like you're doing really well, you made all these sales, like people still will say, where is the money? And the money is caught up in those receivables.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to really focus and point out that, like, if you never collect the money, then what happens potentially, what you talked about at the beginning in your business, is the
Mm-hmm.
business could go out of business where you worked before, or you have no cash to continue to do business, or, there's a lots of detriment if you don't try to collect this money, or worse off, you might end up writing off tens of thousands of dollars, or if not more money that you could have had a portion of that, if not all of it, if you at least tried.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you said that. That's a every time I hear people say they had to write off something, well, my heart goes, oh, but why? Because but then because that's me. But I understand that sometimes you do have to write things off. For example, if you've got something that's due, say 120 days past due. So that's basically 4 months. If your client hasn't paid you in 4 months, they're probably not going to pay you. And yeah, that it stinks that they did that and that they weren't communicative to tell you, hey, we're having challenges, whatever, whatever, whatever. Just that. Secondly, if you don't have a tracking system in place, so this client, I have it's a $10,000 contract. We build them, on the first or the 15th or whatever, and then the payments are due then. If you don't have a tracking system, so when are your payments due, it's very easy for things to go. I work in more of the corporate space, so what we do is the aging, and so it's basically 0 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, and then 90 and beyond. Um, if an invoice goes from zero to 30, that's usually current, and you should know how many invoices are due that day and how much money is due. And then if it's the next time 31 to 60, that's 31 days to 61 days, 60 days. You should know that, and then 61 to 90, etc. If you don't track this, just like if you don't track your sales, if you know how many contracts you have, how many I'm sorry, yeah, how many contracts you have, how many customers you have, that's one part. You track your sale, but you also have to track how many invoices did you issue, especially if you do what's called recurring billing. If you bill it every single month, you should know how many invoices did you send out on whatever date, and then and then within 30 days, when are those payments coming due, and then when are you planning to collect the cash, and what do you have in place if the payment is missed? That's the part that most people don't want to talk about. They're like, well, I just expect people to pay me. Well, of course you do. We all do. But hey, people don't. And what's
That's
your
so
plan?
true.
What's your plan? So do you have emails going out to remind them, hi, your payment was due? For example, this is a perfect example. I'm gonna segue into this. Everybody has a cell phone. So let me talk about why this matters. All of us who have cell phones, whether you're team iPhone or Android, it doesn't
Team
matter.
iPhone over here, just
Okay, team
saying.
iPhone, I'm team
Just
Android.
saying.
Okay. Hey, hey. So I'll tell the story about the cell phone and then why it matters to track your payments. So I used to tell a story like this. Welcome to whatever cell phone it is. Hey, Stephanie, what brings you in today? Oh, well, my phone is, I've got this issue with my phone. It's not doing da 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 da, whatever it is. Before they go any further, can I see your driver's license, please? Sure. They scan your driver's license to confirm you are, who you say you are. You have an account with them, and blah, blah, blah. Usually before they go a little bit further, did you know you're eligible for an upgrade? You're like, I didn't come in here to get a new phone. I just came in here to get this button fixed because I need to go on my way. I got things to do. Well, so when you buy your cell phone, there's usually a sale and then there's a contract. They'll usually suggest you, hey, well, while we're working on this, why don't you walk around the store and see what new phones are available? And of course, like all of us, we get, that they dangle that little thing. You're like, oh, man,
Mm-hmm.
this is the new whatever or Android whatever, number 25 or whatever. And you're like, well, I really wasn't planning on buying a new phone, but hey, it sounds good. Let's do it. So here's your cell phone story. You get a new, so there's a sale, then you end up getting into a new contract. Then they do what's called order entry. They enter all the information about the phone onto your account. Order fulfillment. They've got 10 phones in the back. They bring out the box. They scan the barcode, new information. So you went from an iPhone 10 to 12 or whatever it is. So you have a sale, a contract, order entry, order fulfillment. Hey, Stephanie, yeah. When do you want your bill? The bill is called accounts payable. You tell them, I want my bill on whatever day of the month. So the person sits there and enters information. So you have a sale, a contract, order entry, order fulfillment, billing, which is accounts payable. The company bills you. Accounts receivable, me, collect the cash. There's somebody that works for every phone company that knows how many accounts are going to be due on that day, and they're counting on that cash flow coming in. So a sale, contract, order entry, order fulfillment, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and then Stephanie, thank you so much for being a longtime customer of blah blah blah. Before we wrap up, we need to walk over to we need you to sign this new contract because now you entered into a new contract for this phone. If you either
Sign my life away for 3 years.
sign your life away, one, two, or if you're going to buy it outright, or if you're going to do old school layaway, you're basically making monthly payments because they're going to bill you one way or the other. Before you leave, you got to walk over to the cashier, and she's going to ask you, he or she's going to ask you, debit, credit, cash. Before you can leave, these two magical words appear: transaction approved. What I just described is what a business owner has to do with their product or their service. There's a sale, contract, order entry, order fulfillment, accounts payable, which is the company bills you, accounts receivable, me, I collect the cash, and then I'm waiting for those two magical words, transaction approved. All those things happen. That's how you buy your cell phone. You don't get to leave the cell phone store until everything I just described happens. That's your tracking system for you as a business owner to know what's the name of your customer, how much did they buy from you, when are they billing you, when are you supposed to get paid, and a section called notes. But the cell phone story makes sense because everybody has one, and that's how you got your cell phone. That's how you got your cell phone.
I love that. I love that example, Dee, because it's so real and it's so relatable because we all have a cell phone, like you said. But what I really hear you saying is that having good systems and processes in place is very key to all of
Yes.
this.
Absolutely. And when I started looking at how do I, so you asked me in the beginning of the conversation, you said, how did I get into that? Yes, I told the story about working for this company, but what I really realized is that the system that I used to collect the cash is a cell phone story because that's what happens with every vendor, every company I've ever worked with. Those things happen. There was a sale, there's a contract, there's order fulfillment, there's order entry. Somebody is billing, accounts payable, somebody's collecting cash in my case, and then there's notes. And then I realized this is a system that small business owners can actually implement and they can take whether you're product based or service based. You can do that same thing and go, I got a sale, I have a contract, I'm doing order entry, order fulfillment, I'm going to bill them, I got to collect the cash, and I got to have notes. If you learn to do this every single time, you will know by the end of the month. Okay, I have 5 contracts, I have 5 invoices outstanding, I'm supposed to collect $10,000. And if my payments don't hit by this date, my next system is email follow up. Or if you use more technology, let's say you have technology that does it. So if you're not emailing, let's say you're doing old school, you're doing phone calls, or you're using a chat bot to send out a text, whatever. The point is that whatever your system is that helps you collect the cash, it needs to be in place. But if you don't know how much money is owed to you every month or every quarter, how do you know what to focus on? For example, if something is 30 days past due, okay, you might want to jump on that immediately. But if it's 60 days past due, absolutely. You don't, as soon as it becomes, 60 days past due, what are your systems in place to make the phone call, to do follow up, to problem solve? Because if it's 60 days past due, there's usually a problem, which means you got to basically analyze what happened and then do the follow up, ask the questions, and then get to the bottom of going from what had happened was to how do we win. So yes, systems absolutely matter.
That all makes perfect sense. And I know a lot of people use like QuickBooks Online and you can go pull an AR report. And that's one piece of this whole puzzle. So it's important that you know that the information's there and how to get it, but it's really like, what are you doing with it? Because you could really do nothing with it and you're left in the same situation. So getting this system in place and what you should do is really important. So thank you for that, Dee. So let
Absolutely.
me ask you this.
Sure.
For anyone listening who's like, this is really where I'm struggling in my business, but I'm still kind of hesitant. I don't know where to begin. What's like one tip that they can implement or one thing that you would recommend to get started in this whole process with them? Something simple.
Work with you.
Not with me, work with you. You're the collect the cash.
We can do a tag team. But number one, seriously, I would recommend absolutely that you get a system, whether you seriously, whether you use my cell phone story as an example, which is a tracking system, and set that up. That's the first thing. And then secondly, I would recommend you get my book, because if you have to make calls to talk to people, I actually give you a script on what to say and how to say it, so that you're not coming across assertive or aggressive, but you basically are just trying to problem solve. Because I want you to understand that collecting your cash is just as important as you getting your sale. It's the sale and AR go together. And when you see it, they're not two separate entities, but they go together. That's how you change it. And then I would recommend that one, yeah, you definitely sorry, you absolutely have a tracking system. That's the first thing. Secondly, I want you to get the book. And I'm not, it's not necessarily to plug the book. I want you to have a tool that will help you manage this uncomfortable part of business. Because let's face it, Stephanie, you and I both know, I jokingly say, when you look on these internet streets, everybody makes business entrepreneurship look amazing. Like, oh my gosh,
Oh
I
yeah.
just I just sold like $1 million. No, you didn't.
Mm.
Stop
And I'm
lying.
working from the beach and I
I'm
don't
working
do
for the beach. Oh
anything.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm sipping margaritas all day and twice on Sunday. Stop playing. Listen, now, first of all, entrepreneurship and going into business is one of the most personal development journeys you will ever go on, because you
Truth.
get to learn what you know, what you don't know, what you like, what you don't like, and then you have to constantly invest in yourself. So when I talk about why this matters, Stephanie and I both have been investing in ourselves for a while in order to get here. And it's a constant evolution. Like, you learn so many things, you implement some things, and you're like, oh crap, I don't know this. Now I got to go take a class. I got to get a book. I got to do something. But if you plan on being successful, everybody that we admire in business, in sports, and in life, they are constantly investing in themselves. Number one. Number two, they have coaches and mentors. Number three, they read books. Number four, they listen to podcasts. Number five, they realize that what they don't know, it's okay, but it's not okay to stay there. So if you don't know how to collect, so I share all that to say, if you don't know how to collect the cash, one, you now have a tool. This podcast is now a tool. Number two, my book, Collect the Cash, gives you step by step how, the emails, the scripts, what to say, what not to say. And three, there's a tracking system which you need to know how many sales you have, how many invoices do you have, when do they due, and how do you collect them. And four, once you continue to work on your mindset, which is probably the thing between your two ears, you got to do that part. You got to change how you see this. You can't see it as it's a separate part of your business. It's actually a part of your business, because you have a sale and you get paid. They go together. And once you see that, you're like, oh, it's totally going to make more sense, and you're going to feel more comfortable. So those are my tips.
So true. Those are great tips. So if you really don't know where to begin, go get Dee's book. So tell me, Dee, where can someone get your book and where else could they find you online if they want to find more information about you?
Sure thing. Please visit www.collectthecash.biz forward slash book. That's www.collectthecash.biz/book. And once you get the book, it gives you all the things. And there's also the book. There's also a thing called 5 Tips to Collect the Cash, which goes along with the book. So the book gives you more in-depth, processes and tips. And then Collect the Cash gives you, I'm sorry, 5 Tips gives you 5 things that you can use today, and they go along with the book. But definitely get the book. So www.collectthecash.biz forward slash book.
Awesome. I will put that in the show notes so everyone can find it and come find you. I recommend everyone go get Dee's book. This got some golden nuggets in there. She's full of helpful information. I really appreciate you coming to talk to me today, Dee, and being my first guest on this new
Hey,
podcast. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you as always.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And well, so that was it. That's all for this particular episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to see you on the next episode of Getting to the Bottom Line. I hope you all have a great day. Bye, everyone.